All right. It says it's live. I am. Let me put this out of the way. I got maps open because I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. I mean, for literally for months at a time, years actually, the past 2 years, uh, my phone has stopped ringing. And I'm trying to run a black car service, of course. And I've complained about it before. It's because of this president spoke about it in his State of the Union drive, and are killing people on this as well as elsewhere. They have effectively me nearly out of business. At least I have maxed out my credit cards and personal loan to of about 75 grand. And strangely enough, I have managed, even though I've been overdrawn at the bank about a half a dozen times in the past couple of months, I've managed to pay all my bills. And I haven't been late. That's a client. Suddenly the phone has started ringing again, which is a good sign. But it's actually, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I hope I have a signal out here. It's probably breaking up like crazy. But hopefully they're going to do something about all these illegals that the Democrats, I mean, what a display of cowardice during that State of the Union address. Just an unbelievable display of Marxist dogma idiocy. And that's all they are. The ones that have taken over the party, they were university-trained Marxists. That never went away. Communism, but it's all controlled by a certain tiny hat tribe who control our
At the
currency.
next stop sign, turn right.
See there, she's still directing me to go the correct way.
At the stop sign, turn right onto State Route 41 South.
I will do that. Thank you. Google has changed the voice on me because they took away the. I used to have a British woman's voice, which was very pleasant. But I don't get a choice with this new AI they've got. But it's still pretty accurate. We are stuck with the technology. We are trapped with the technology. It's not going away. Even if there was a EMP or the sun were to suddenly, blast the earth, which is quite active. That's why they're all building bunkers. It happened 12,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago. Exact same thing happened. Earth got just devastated, and the stupid monkey people were unprepared for what happened. But apparently, humanity, that they're simply genetically superior to everyone else. They managed to survive and continue thriving, but it's taken them 10 grand to get back to technological level. So I digress. So my phone has started sort of ringing again, and I've got just enough jobs coming in to get ahead of the credit card payments and such. I'm still a victim of the predatory banks, but that's part of the tiny hat thing too. They've turned us into a debtor nation when instead, and all this nonsense about worshiping a certain tiny fascist nation in the Middle East, the Western that they placed there, has nothing to do with the ancient tribe that used to be there. These people all came out of the Caucasus Mountains, basically about 700 years ago. They just adopted a certain religious sect and started inbreeding and bred genius. It's that simple. Even Mark Twain postulated about it. He said that, they might very well be genetically superior because of the number of physicists that they produce. But then again, they also produce the nonsense about psychology and psychiatry as a way of controlling people. And it doesn't work on anybody but their own, which is kind of weird. So there is a certain amount of madness when you interbreed or inbreed. You have to be very selective, and they have been. They don't talk about the ones they cull. Oh, there's people in the chat room. I can't read it while I'm driving, but I'll keep talking. So anyway, I finally get a couple of phone calls. You get behind a van, you can't see where you're going. I finally get a couple of phone calls, people calling and wanting me to drive clientele here and there. And luckily as well, they are pretty well paying, as opposed to the scumbag rideshare companies and a couple of other companies that they basically pay pennies. You can never get ahead. But with my own gig, I can feel out the client and see, how much, because it's usually a company or a broker or another limo company trying to, can we get a discount? No, your client is probably a billionaire or at least a multimillionaire. No, you cannot have a discount. So I managed to get a few $100 here and a few $100 there. And I'm just keeping my head just barely above water, having overdrawn at the bank yet again because of I should just declare bankruptcy. I'm paying these predatory credit card companies and banks just outrageous terms, outrageous interest rates. But that's how they've done it to us, the entire country. Trillions. It's unfathomable. People just don't understand it. When you're 40 trillion in the hole, you're not getting out of that unless you completely tear down the entire financial system and start from scratch. You just tell them, we're not paying. What are they going to do? Go pound sand. But then they start another war because they still control enough nations like ours, the United States. They can still convince us to send a massive military force to the middle of nowhere to fight a country that
Go past this light, then, at the next one, turn right onto the I-75 South ramp to Dayton.
Because let's face it, Afghanistan, Iraq, North Korea, Libya, fucking Syria, and now Iran, they're inconsequential. We've just been convinced that they are the true enemy, when in fact the true enemy controls our purse strings. They control our guns. It's in a document that came out about a century and a quarter ago, and doesn't matter who wrote it. They say, oh, it's a fake, it's blah blah, it's anti this and anti that. No, well, it doesn't matter, because it's been an exact blueprint for the last century and a quarter. It was called, and this will probably get me blocked completely, shadow banned again, but I don't care. It's called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. And every single word in it has come true. So I'm getting on the freeway here. I have to deal with all these.
At the light, turn right onto the I-75 South ramp.
There's so many piss poor drivers. And doing this as a business, I really wish I'd gone into some other business, because
in a quarter mile, merge onto I-75 South.
This one just simply got devastated the past years. When I was in LA, I was doing quite well. I was looking forward to having a small fleet and retiring in like 5 years. And they, again, the same tiny hat people pulled the rug out from under the entire planet in 2009 or so. Anybody that's old enough to remember that, you may not understand, but they blamed it on poor people, of course. The poor people getting mortgages. Well, who gave them the mortgages? See, people do not think. It wasn't poor people. It was this banking mob. So anyway, again, I digress. Here, the speed limit's 70 and people are going 60 for something, and you can't get around them, like this character. So, and then, you know, you got people all the way around you. Oh, now they're speeding up, see? So anyway, that document, everyone should read it if you can find a copy of it. They purged a lot of it on the interwebs. Google will never find you a copy of it, whereas it used to. I have it saved in a couple of different formats, but you know, if electronics, your card reader goes away, your handheld tracking device that I'm using here, that goes away. If you know, if they start using local or regional EMPs to wipe out transmission lines, etc., you'll never, you know, it'll be a piece of plastic with a little tiny bit of gold on it on the connections, which is amazing. Which shows that gold isn't really a basis for a financial system anymore. There's simply not enough of it to support this gargantuan debt system they've built. So here I'm lead footing it, and I should not. I'm trying to slow down. See, I try to get by this guy, and he speeds up. I was doing 80. I slow down to 70, he slows down. You motherfuckers. Why do people do that? Assholes. They don't even know they're doing it. Or the people that are doing, you know, 75, 70, 80 in the passing lane where I'm sitting. It's a passing lane, people. It's not a cruising lane. And they get next to a truck like that, and then they slow down to whatever speed that truck is doing, 60, 65, and they hold up everybody for miles. And you deal with that all day long if you're on the freeway. And then you realize that about a third of the truckers on the road today are all these illegals, and these companies don't give a shit. You know, just video after video of these complete morons thinking, you know, this ain't Calcutta, this ain't Mogadishu, this ain't fucking, you know, Ukraine or Russia. Get the fuck out of that truck, man. But no, they just hand them the keys and hand them a driver's license. Ohio is guilty of that. Ohio has been handing out driver's licenses. We have a gigantic Somali population in Columbus. And they're still there. They're not evicting any of these masses of people. They're putting on a show by going out and grabbing these legitimate murderers and rapists and making a show of it. But then they, you know, it's all about bringing in these liberal idiots that try to run into them and slow them down, and they get their asses shot, and then everybody starts crying. You know, all these Marxist idiots in Congress sitting there yelling at the president. You know, it's just an insult to the institution. It's a fucking insult to the institution. I'm going to put you back on the dashboard here. I can't read that from here, but I mean, we've just 2026. We should all be living in a paradise. Instead, we've been held back by this weird ruling class. Why have they held the human race back? We should be out among the planets by now. But we're not. And all this bullshit about Mars is just that. It's a puppet show. We're not going to Mars. Most of these so-called astronauts, if they are going off of the planet, they're never leaving low Earth orbit. You know, that space station there might actually be one up there, but they're not on it. They're sitting inside of a jet that's doing this. You know, for the very short videos that they let us see. And it's so obvious. I mean, they want you to know it's fake, but stupid people, you know, you see them pulling on wires around a guy's waist. You see them, you know, holding a microphone which suddenly disappears when they hand it to somebody. It's bullshit. But people are stupid. They want to believe. You know, you got all these people that just desperately need to believe because they're cowards. They're afraid. They live in fear their entire lives. I got friends and family. They live in fear, but, you know, they need that enemy. Oh, orange man bad. Oh, you're supporting it. Yeah, I voted for these imbeciles 3 times, and I'm still paying almost $3 a gallon for gas. You know, and here I am driving hundreds of miles when I should be putting that money in my pocket or paying my bills. Instead, it's still going to these cocksuckers with the oil companies who are owned by the same tiny hat tribe. These guys own everything. They lent out money for a century and a quarter, 2 centuries actually, and they've never given up control. They do not lend money to somebody, you know, and then let them pay it off. They keep 51% of the ownership of the company, you know. Every single industry on the planet, including space, war, military. I get so upset talking about this shit. And then you mention certain things, and then you get shadow banned and nobody finds you. Or people are just scrolling through. I do the same thing. Digital Growth, New York. That's somebody trying to get my Social Security and credit card information. They've already stolen my Social Security. Look at that. The machine calls back. Fuck off. You know, they got these bogus lending institutions. If they actually lend anything, they're going to end up charging you 35%, which is, it's in the Bible. It's in their Bible. The Bible was written by this tiny hat bunch of people. Now I got some idiot in a fucking truck, FedEx truck, crawling up my ass instead of fucking staying away from me. But he got stuck behind a truck. There you go, you fuck. You dumb motherfucker, you don't know how to drive. So anyway, I'm driving back to Columbus. But I do the same thing. I sit there and I scroll through these live videos. These people broadcasting their idiocracy. I get on here and I start telling everybody how fucked up the world actually is. And then Google and YouTube's and the interwebs, they shadow ban you. You know, it just
in 2 miles, use the second from the right lane to take exit 61 for I-70 East toward Columbus.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's Google telling me to take a turn up here. It actually works. It's remarkably how well it works. Years ago, 10, 15 years ago, it was terrible when Google first started with mapping. I used to get in arguments with nitwits in chat rooms, telling them this stuff is being mapped, not just with cars on the ground, which remarkable that they did this all over the planet. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to find out. Oh, look, it disconnected me. Did anybody hear that phone call? By any chance? Probably not. The way they've got this set up. I just had Gunga Din calling me from Digital Growth, New York. I should give everybody the phone number and tell you to call them over and over and over again. But it probably won't go anywhere. It's you get these calls from these Indian guys. Hey, hello, my name is Steve. I am calling you from Buttfuck, New York. I have can I speak to the owner of the business, please? No, you may not. I told the guy. I said, you can go fuck yourself, Gunga Din. Gunga Din, bring water. Bring water, Gunga Din. I'm back on the freeway. I get a little fucking perturbed with shit like that because it interrupts my chain of thought. Yeah, see, it's disconnecting on me. The area I'm driving through, they may be doing it to me on purpose, but the area I'm driving through is just north of Dayton, Ohio, and there's dead spots all along. You wouldn't think so. You know, with the coverage they have now, they claim, well, you got dead spots everywhere. And this is, I forget my carrier. It doesn't matter. They're all the same fucking rip-off business boys. You know, it should cost pennies or even be free. If we had not been controlled by the tiny hats when Nikola Tesla, he didn't really discover anything. It was put in his head by some kind of entity that is trapped here on the planet. Some vast storehouse of knowledge. If he'd have been allowed to continue with his work, we'd all have free energy right now. We'd all be living like kings. Like kangs. We'd all be living like kangs. And we wouldn't be working hard. You know, we'd actually be, hey, you guys want to take a little weekend vacation to the moon? You guys want to take a little week of vacation? We're going to go spend a week in Jupiter's orbit. Oh, you know what? They're by this time, 2026, they should have had interstellar travel, and we would have gotten reports saying, hey, we're finally talking to all those entities out there. We're talking. They're not stupid monkeys. They're not warlike. They've way past that. They're like, hey, you know, finally, welcome to the galactic community, because we've been held back. We can't allow violent idiots like the people you got running the world right now. We can't allow them to go any further than the moon. That's why you're not really, you know, I have my doubts, even though I grew up just thinking, oh, Voyager, it's gone past the planets, it's out in the interstellar space. It was only supposed to last, you know, a couple of years, but it's still sending signals. No. But the ones we send to Mars and the moon, they crash and they fail. Isn't that weird? How does that happen? You know, you got a little... Mars has an atmosphere. Do we send hundreds of balloons just to float around? No. We send a little fucking Jeep. And Jeeps are crap. We send a little fucking rover to drive around at a quarter of a mile an hour. And if it gets dusty, it stops working. So we're supposed to believe that this thing is running around on... There's nothing. We didn't get to Mars. We probably haven't even gotten to the moon. If there is such a thing. You know? You look out at the sky. Nobody does that anymore anyway, because they're all stuck in cities. But if you've ever been truly out in the middle of nowhere, the best thing to do is to go out and if you're anywhere near cities, go to the nearest national or state forest, because that should be far enough away from a city that the lights won't affect your vision. But they're spraying shit in the atmosphere now, so your luck of seeing the actual stars, the Milky Way, you got about a 1 in 10 chance of seeing that. And I've only seen it because when I was younger, we used to go up to Canada all the time, all the way up the Ottawa River. And when you're up there, you can see some stars, man. That was out in the middle of nowhere. And then this past few years, I came back from California, and I went up to Utah. Motherfucker. I went up to Utah. Up in the mountains, about 10,000 feet, to a fishing camp. And I was trying to work at places when I was coming back to Ohio. My pretty countryside had been paved down the middle by a government that had no pride. Like, you son of a bitch. Like, oh, you cunt. Why do you keep doing that? Like that. This is what a good part of our country looks like. Just fucking interstate highways. God damn it, I keep tapping it. Well, you can thank Eisenhower and the Congress for that. They decided to build these interstate freeways, not for us to have free travel, but to have a way to move military units quickly. The Chinese did the same thing. They built a 10-lane highway down to Hong Kong. No traffic on it, no cars. But as soon as the 99-year lease ran up in Hong Kong with the British, boy, they had the tanks rolling on that motherfucker. They had the tanks and the trucks and the soldiers just scooting down that fucking freeway. And that's what this is for, it's not for us. They're trying to restrict our travel, but they want to encourage illegals. That's why they brought them in. They brought all these illegals in to disrupt society. And the best way to do it is just to bring in all these low IQ numbnuts who just, they live in their own squalor. They literally live in their own shit. I drove some of those Somalians. Oh, I'm sorry, Somalis. It's racist to say Somalian. They're Somalis. Salami, baloney. Ilhan Omar. There you go. How do you go from having I think it was she had very little more than I've got. I'm 75 grand in debt. I think she was 30 grand in debt. Or was that the AOC bitch? But, they go from being poor, and they install them in Congress. And within 6 years, they're worth $30 million. Million with an M. $30 million. And everybody knows it's criminal, but they're not going to do anything about it. What it's coming to is eventually it's going to happen, and I'm going to be one of them. We, the people, are going to take up arms, and we're going to take back the Republic. We're going to restore the Republic. Yes, there will be blood. The sky is just full of that man-made clouds. Oh, they're cooling the planet. Okay. We're still coming out of an ice age, and they want to cool the planet. But it's a real easy way to poison billions of people. And that's probably why, you probably know, if you don't already, you probably know somebody that has lung problems or heart problems, like I do. Didn't used to. Not since the 90s was when they first started really spraying. Look at these fucking people. So, anyway, I'm driving my ass off in order to make $100 here and $100 there, just to keep my head above water, because the banks, oh, you're a wonderful, you've got a wonderful credit rating, Mr. Lucan. We want to lend you money. Okay, I need about 50 to 100 grand to really make the business go. Well, we're going to give you 18, because we know you're not going to be able to pay off credit cards with it. You're going to have to live off of that, because we're basically shadow banning your phone as well, and your websites. We're fucking with your website. Google's fucking with my listing. You get messages constantly from Google and from Yelp and those other predatory companies. Oh, we're going to give you $200 or $300 in free advertising. Wow, that's a deal. Well, that's gone in the first day. So you're going to have to pay us a couple $100 a month, and you may or may not actually get any return on your investment, because we're bullshitting you. We're lying to you. So I've never done any of that, and of course I've been retaliated against. So, oh, you hung up on our salespeople. Your phone's not going through. Gee, how does that happen? Oh, there's a lot of traffic out here today, man. Truck traffic is just outrageous. And like I said, about a third of them are illegals. And they cannot fucking drive. Oh my God, the way they fucking drive. Supposedly they're actually cracking down on them. I saw more cops on this highway. This is the east and westbound 70 freeway in and out of Columbus. And between here and Dayton, or I'm more still closer to Dayton, between Columbus and Dayton, and yeah, I saw more cops through one section, and they were pulling trucks over. I hope they're grabbing these fucking drivers. If they're just seizing the truck, the driver gets picked up by the company and they put him in another truck and they keep driving. Illegal as fuck. They get a ticket, or they kill somebody, they get let out, or they just change the company. There are a million fly-by-night trucking companies now, and they're just putting people out there. If you've ever been out on the road and you drive, it doesn't matter where you are in the country, you'll look out and you'll see acres and acres of trucks, tractor trailers, and trailers, just thousands of them, just sitting out there everywhere, which is all part of the bullshit. Like, they just keep building all these crappy ass cars, just total garbage, these fucking cars, and people keep buying them, but they've got millions of them that don't sell. They're just sending those to China. If they sat around for a year or so, they put them in a container and send them across to China or Russia, and resell them there. It's unfucking real, man. So, anyway, I find myself driving some very wealthy people at times. But, you know, they say, oh, well, you're great. We love you. And then they tell the receptionist or their assistant. And the assistant just does a Google search, and whatever pops up, they go with them. They don't call me back. They ain't got me on speed dial. Oh, look, there's... that was a truck. You fuck. I couldn't switch it around in time. No, he's back there. There was a highway patrol. See, I can't get to... I need a camera, but I can't afford it. I got 3 more credit cards I got to pay in the next week. Plus rent. I've been paying my rent and shit with credit cards. Because the government's fucking me on my Social Security and my Medicare. $250,000. 2 heart attacks last year. And the heart attacks were from this COVID shit. I am convinced now that they gave not just the weaponized virus, that's real. They got everybody sick like 2018, 2019, and into 2020. And then they introduced that untested mRNA poison, which turns out they're finally admitting, yeah, what this stuff does, it produces, it changes your fucking DNA. It produces, this truck is going to pull into me. It produces something they call spike proteins. There he is. And the spike proteins are shed through your guts and your blood and everything else, and you can actually transfer them to other people, and then they get sick, and that's from the shots. See, talking about this, there's another shadow ban. That's why there's only 3 people watching. Nobody's allowed to see me now because I talk about it. But some idiot that's babbling, I'm not babbling, I'm talking fact. Some retard that's playing with their lizard or their fucking cat, you know, or they're doing makeup, you know, or they're complaining about Trump, spewing their TDS because they're on drugs, brought to you by Pfizer. It's all one big fucking circle. I got somebody in front of me that... Nope. God damn it. This guy's suddenly doing... That's the popo. This cocksucker in front of me. How dare he do the speed limit? That was a cop I almost pulled in front of. Well, I did, actually. The problem with these new cops, they don't have cars that you can easily identify anymore. They're all driving these fucking piece of shit Ford Explorers. Now, how Ford talked to entire police forces of every state, county, municipality to drive any money, but they can keep producing this garbage. You know, I wouldn't have an Explorer, and I wouldn't buy a used cop car anymore. Not like they used to, you know. You know, you could get a big ass fucking Panther platform cop car with cop brakes and cop wheels, and you know, the whole Blues Brothers thing, and you could get them cheap, you know, at the auctions. I wouldn't even buy a fucking highway patrol Dodge, even though they barely drive them. You know, they'll take them on the highway, but That's speaking of the devil, highway patrol next exit. So, oh my God. Fuck me. I'm just rambling. Not sleeping right, but everybody's like that now. You can bet. Oh, that's the other thing, medications. The meds they were putting me on were just fucking me up. You know, my blood pressure was spiking and crashing. And I said, read the label, doc. 10 different doctors giving me 10 different meds. And I'm like, I'm not taking this shit. You're trying to kill people. You're trying to keep them sick. So they keep coming back and you keep hitting their insurance. That's what it's all about. It's not about health care, it's about insurance. And if you're stuck on Medicare like I am, they'll do just the minimum because Medicare won't pay what they're asking. If you look at the actual bills, look at your bills. Most people, they're not looking at them. They're just saying, oh, you know, here's my monthly stipend to the insurance company. Look at the fucking bill. It was Medicare. $50,000 for a person. And they'll take it. And it didn't have a minute ago. Bills. If Medicare was paying what they were demanding, St. Anne's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, it would have been pushing $1 million. As it is, they would pay a certain amount, you know, like 10%, maybe not even that, 5% of what they're demanding, which is they're demanding outrageous, and they're still getting rich. You know, it's all a scam. You know, these people, these so-called professionals, God damn them all, you know, maybe Pol Pot was right, even though he was a commie bastard. He wasn't really, he was just a bastard. Just started murdering anybody that wasn't in, you know, a professional, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. If you wore glasses, he would murder you. He killed, there were 6 million people in Cambodia when he was doing that. That was back at the end of the Vietnam War. He killed 1 million people. He killed 1/6. Oh, fuck, there's a cop right there. Luckily, I'm not quite doing 75, but they're not going to stop you if you're going, you know, 4 or 5 mile an hour over the speed limit. The Ohio Highway Patrol, anyway. It's when you're doing, you could do up to like 9, it's generally accepted up to like 9 mile an hour over the speed limit. But as soon as you go past that 79 mile an hour, if it's 70, you hit 80, they'll nail it. They'll go after you. Unless they don't feel like it. But these guys that sit out on the highway like that, I'm guaranteed there's another half a dozen of them down this way. They are just looking to raise revenue. They don't give a shit about safety. They're not really stopping these illegals. What they're doing is they're just nailing the trucking companies to bail their trucks out, bail their, you know, their trailers full of goods. They got to go pay to get those out of impounded. But that driver, like I said, that fucking driver that can't read an English stop sign, they'll put them right back in another truck. And the ones that are driving crap, they won't even bother with the fucking truck. They don't care. You know, they literally have billions to play with that they've scammed from the government, social services, kind of like that, welfare system. I mean, whoever thought about, it was this well, we know who it was. To bring in all these Somalians, especially, because they know that they're all dumb as dirt. Ilhan Omar, she is not a high IQ person. She got about a 70 IQ, I would say. She just farts out what she's told to say, and she sits there with that. They all do. They sit there with that smirk. It's not a smile; it's a smirk. Because they know they're fucking, but they're so stupid they think they're going to eventually get away with it, without the hammer's coming down. It's taking a while, but it's coming down, and they're going to eventually. And I can't wait for that day. I don't care if it's I don't care if it's fascist. We need a little bit of that. We've been fascist since the end of World War II. But we need a little bit of that in order. You have to do that to destroy a soft society. A society that is destroying itself from within. There was a certain guy in Germany back in the 20s and 30s that if you actually see, instead of this reactionary bullshit, the scare tactics, because you're seeing it now, they're pushing it online. You listen to his speeches in English, and you're kind of like, wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because the same thing is happening to us. It's happened for the past 700 years, past 7 centuries or so, when these tiny hat people started spreading across Europe with a plan. They are brilliant. You build up, you go into a kingdom or a nation. They welcome you with open arms because you're oppressed. You've been treated badly by the kingdom next door. So they welcome you with open arms. Then you start into industries like recycling. That's what they did in much of Germany and Europe. They were just reselling clothing and textiles, shit like that, which they would basically get for nothing and sell at a massive profit. But then they start lending a doubloon here or there, a shekel here or there, a British pound sterling here or there, a French franc, a German mark. They start lending it. Hey, yeah, it's like I fell for the same thing the past few years because I had to. I took the money at, a certain percentage. I'm like, I can live with that. But then, before you know it, those interest rates start crawling up, compounding interest, etc., etc. Before you know it, you're paying, and they don't pay interest. The money they give to each other, they create out of nothingness, because our own government is doing it. Here it is, it's on a computer. They used to actually have to print stuff. They don't have to print it anymore. They say, here's 27 trillion fucking US dollars. Well, where'd it come from? We pushed a button on this computer. The Federal Reserve took it and gave it to the other banks that they own. And those banks took that $1 and turned it into $10. They just added $9 more to fake dollars. It doesn't exist. And then each one of those fake dollars, they could turn into $10 more. So that one fake dollar that they started with can turn into an unlimited number of fake dollars. That's how they prop the system up. And through debt, it takes about a century. You know, from 1913 until 2000 something. It was almost, you know, that was good timing. 2008, 2009, suddenly the whole world is, the sky is going to fall if you don't give us more fucking fake dollars. It takes about a century to devalue a currency. And they've been doing that for a good 4 or 5 centuries. And they did it real huge because the German people were industrious as hell. Those are my people. German folks are industrious as fuck. More so than certain Asians. Like, you know, the Asians were held back by their wacky beliefs. The Japanese, you know, the various Chinese, the Mongols, etc. They were all held back by their weird, you know, refusal to broaden their horizons. That's why the Europeans were able to dominate so easily. Because they started building boats. They went everywhere. God damn it. But anyway, my lungs have been fucked up for a long time here. And it's just got this fucking idiot on my ass. I'm actually doing the speed limit, and I got trucks and cars passing me like crazy. Because I'm really in no hurry at this point. I'm just, because if you try, you can't stay ahead of these people. You know, they'll drive in packs like these people all right around me. They drive the same speed. You'll have somebody in the passing lane that will refuse to get over, and so everybody else has to go the same speed, even if it's 75, 80. And like that guy up there, they get next to a truck and they slow down. So everybody backs up behind them. Everybody ends up driving in a pack. And if you were flying, you could see the packs on the highway. In between, there's these gigantic spaces. That's just the weird nature of things that move, herds, you know. Birds do the same thing. They move in gigantic pack, you know, flocks. Animals. Bovine. See, this guy pulls in front of me and fucking slows down. You fucking idiot. Stupid motherfucker. There he goes, you fucking asshole. Unreal. He's got a lane, 3 lanes. I'm in the middle lane. You know, I'm doing the speed limit. This cocksucker's in the left-hand lane, no, the right-hand lane, the slow lane. He pulls in front of me and hits his brakes. And I've got my cruise control on. I had it at 70 exactly. And this cocksucker pulls in front of me and hits his brakes in that fucking Ford or whatever it was. And now here's another one. I got a truck pulls in front of me. I'm doing 70. And these people are either going 65 or they're going 80. You cannot get away from them. Now he pulls back over. Motherfucker. Pulls in front of me for no goddamn good reason. That same truck that's been shadowing me. Big old fucking semi-truck. Pulls ahead of me and slows down. Cuts in front of me. Stops me. It's almost like these assholes are... It's almost like they're fucking doing it on purpose, you know? Alright, I got it set at 74 now, but they're still Oh, look, he's coming back up on me. Goddamn motherfucker. Unfucking real. And you get these other assholes that they come up behind you. They come flying up behind you. But they won't get into the passing lane to go around you. They just sit right on your ass. They tailgate you. Then you'll have some idiot in the passing lane, like this one behind me, like this guy here, riding on my ass. And then you got this guy over here. I don't know if you can see him. Just going the exact same speed as me. I sped up, I slowed down, I set my cruise control, and this motherfucker who was doing 80 something a second ago, suddenly he's going 74 miles an hour right in my blind. And I got this other fucking idiot behind me tailgating me. They're fucking stupid. People are fucking stupid. And now you got all the trucks who would normally go fast. They're all doing under the speed limit because they're all illegals and they don't want to get pulled over because they know they're being pulled over now. In fact, there's a K9 unit right there, Highway Patrol, and he's following this truck, which is a total piece of shit. Unreal. The moment we get past that Highway Patrol, oh, now he's getting off. See, he don't care. He's going to go get a donut. The moment we go past that Highway Patrol, all these idiots just hit their brakes. They slam on their brakes. He can't fucking pull you over. He's over there, stuck behind a couple of trucks. And he's getting off at the exit anyway, because he's going to go get himself a donut. He's reached his quota. So now I got these fucking idiots. I got this fucking idiot. Not even looking. He don't even know he's doing it. He don't even fucking know he's doing it. Going the exact same speed as me. And I'm doing 74, which is a weird speed. So I'll slow back down to 70. And you watch. This idiot behind me comes flying up on my ass. Oh, now they figured it out. They can go around on two different lanes. There they go. Stupid motherfucker. Oh, I can tell you what, that's a jigaboo. He's got his windows all tinted out. Stupid motherfucker wouldn't go around me before. I swear to God. I swear to fucking God. Unfucking real. The way people fucking drive. And they're parasites. I put mine at, if I'm doing 80, I got the cruise control on. And you look back and then suddenly you've got everybody on your ass. Because they think you got a radar unit or something. Which I don't. I don't use them anymore because they're unreliable. Then you have the other people, I'll put it on 70 because I'm tired of these assholes sitting on my ass. They come up on me and they slow down and they drive right fucking next to you. 74. That guy's doing exactly, and they don't even know they're doing it until you honk or you point it out to them or you slam on your brake. Suddenly they look down, they realize they're going the wrong speed. And here comes that fucking truck again. Unfucking real, this guy. Unmotherfucking real, this guy. This guy cannot keep an even speed. And it looks like an old piece of shit. He's got no markings on him, no identification. He's hauling shit. I didn't see a DOT number, nothing. No company name. That guy is a fucking illegal. And look what he's hauling. He's hauling some big, gigantic, heavy piece of shit. And he keeps speeding up and slowing down. Because there was a cop back there. And he don't want to get pulled over. So now he's speeding up again. Oh, it's fucking maddening. But like I said, I need a different phone mount so I can put it above the dash. Because right now where I have it, I have it in the proper place. I got it down below the dash. Not blocking the windshield like all these Uber idiots. So you're looking at my dashboard instead of the road. I got to get a mount to put it above the road. Normally I would be doing about 90, but that with this kind of traffic, there's a lot of traffic today. Weird, a lot of traffic. So maybe the economy is bouncing. Maybe that guy in the White House right now, maybe he's telling the truth. But I'm still paying close to $3 a gallon for gas. I should be paying 75 cents. Under $1. If we have the greatest reserves on the planet, it's like they said Gaddafi was a problem. Well, he was being paid to be a problem, but his people didn't pay. They didn't pay for anything. They didn't pay for education. They didn't pay for utilities. They didn't pay for gas. Nearly everything was free because they produced everything. So that's why we had to, well, not us, but that certain tiny ad crew over in the Middle East, they had to get rid of all these guys. So they pumped them up and made them our enemy. Fucking world sucks. The people that own it suck. It's fucking sad. And now this highway, that's another thing. These highways they deliberately build them like shit. What they do is they minority-owned companies, which are just a front. They're a shell company. You might have a black person or a woman or someone, but they're just a shell company. They farm the work out. They subcontract to the real companies that build this shit, and they build it like shit because they know in the next year or two they're going to get to replace it at an even higher cost. Why the fuck are they building a mountain over there? They've gone and they've pulled up all the concrete on this section of the 70 freeway west of Columbus. Just pulled it up for miles and miles, the entire fucking road. And they're replacing it with the exact same thing. When it's a serviceable road. If they did it right, they would last for decades. But they don't want that. They don't want that. They want their buddies to get those sweetheart contracts. The governor, DeWine, and all the cocksuckers before him. All a bunch of criminals. They're so easily bought, so cheaply bought, I say we just execute all of them. It's going to come to that. Individuals are just going to start taking up arms, and not these fucking drugged out men that don't understand they're not women. They've been doing all the shootings lately. Because they're the ones that are on the drugs. Brought to you by Pfizer. And the CIA, you get these people into, once again, psychiatry. All right? Psychology. You get them into an office and you put them under, you drug them and you put them under. And it's what Bill Cooper said. The word he used was, it's a great word, that the CIA were inculcating mental patients to shoot up public places. All you need to do is you give them the right amount of drugs and you put them under, and then you shock them, you physically or mentally or spiritually. You give them that shock, and they become pliable, and they will do what they're told without knowing it. They won't even realize they're fucking doing it or why they're so angry. But now they have a reason. They're being oppressed. So they'll pick, and suddenly they have a gun too. Yeah. Where did they get these $2,000 fucking weapons? They ain't buying them. They're being given to them by elements of the FBI. Here, take this gun. May it serve you well. Then they start shooting places up. Oh, God. But what I'm saying is that rational, reasonable people, my lungs are fucked. Rational, reasonable people are going to have to start taking up those guns. Thank God we have guns. We are the ones that are going to have to go out and strike at the head of the snake. You know, stop trying to cut off the arms of the octopus. Go for the head. Go for the brain. Doesn't do any good to shoot up, you know, some public place that's stupid. That's just, you got to go after top dogs, and the ones you think are top dogs are not the top dogs. They are not. You know, you can take out any number of world leaders and it won't matter because they're all fucking puppets. You got to go to the source, the industrialists. Anyway, I finally made it back to Columbus, 3 o'clock, so I'm going to have to go do fucking rideshare in order to make up another, you know, it'd take me hours and hours to make $100. I just made $400. Well, $380 because they take a chunk. Any processor, you're going to end up paying for. You know, I made $380. I spent a good $25 on gas, plus wear and tear, etc. And in 4 hours. So, you know, it's not quite $100 an hour. Come back to this, and you don't make $20 an hour. In fact, there's another company I've been driving for. They don't have enough. They're out of Miami. They don't have enough work in Central Ohio. They pay $20 an hour, and you drive somebody else's vehicle. But that's bullshit, you know. Make fucking $80 the time that I made $380. It's fucking outrageous. Oh, this traffic is unreal, man. Unfucking real. Anyway, that's how they get you. You know, I should have been. At least three times I had my business cranking. You know, I was looking forward to getting new equipment, hiring a couple of people, and then the cocksuckers just pull the rug out from under you. Just absolutely pull the rug out from under you. So now I got to come back here and compete with 1,000 fucking illegals sitting in the cars that we bought for them with the money given to them by these idiot libtards and blacks in county offices that control the welfare money. Billions, unreal. Even the president mentioned it, because it's State of the Union. Billions that they've stolen and shipped back overseas. Billions. And they just keep getting away with it, because these imbeciles in Congress, these imbeciles in the state houses, these imbeciles in county and city government, they're imbeciles. And they're easily bought. They are so easily bought. Get past these cocksuckers. They're just putzing along at 55 when the speed limit is 65. I gotta remember to book. Somebody called me out of the blue. I get these, people you don't hear from for a year, and then suddenly they need a car tomorrow. It's like, what the fuck, man? How about a little steady work, No, they, why would you drive your own car to the airport, pay for parking, and have to deal with that bullshit, and you end up on some shuttle bus? Crossing white lines. I shouldn't do it. These solid white lines are there for a reason, but they put them like right there. They put them there to keep people from crossing over. But the other problem is I can't get to the exit I need because of the traffic. So I'm going to get off here. Get on and get off, or get off and get on. George Carlin. Stop real quick and send this guy a payment link. Just barely keeping my head above water these days. It's fucking unreal. Just crushing debt. And when you think about it, it ain't that much debt, 50, 60 grand. Some people are in debt to hundreds of thousands of dollars, which you'll never pay off. Never. I used almost a half a tank of gas. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Coming from where I live, which is south. Fuck, I hate to even think about it. South of Columbus to Columbus. Actually, luckily, this one actually worked out well because I picked up what turned out to be a top dog in a major corporation. Picked him up in the middle of nowhere. Took him all the way to in the middle of nowhere to a farmhouse, basically, that he grew up in. And but I can't promote myself because I got the job through you got these brokers that don't own a single car, but they're in New York or they're in Chicago or Los Angeles, and they manage to book cars all over the place. So with a phone call, they're making more than I am. But, and they're always illegals. You got that accent. These guys were Indian. Go figure. Not American Indian. But usually you get a call and it'll be some Hispanic sounding dude that can barely speak English. And they got some what is basically a money laundering service. they're laundering. This guy wants to pull in front of me. Good. They're laundering the money they're stealing from us through the welfare system, and they're also laundering drug money and every other criminal enterprise they're involved in. And limo services are one of the top ways to do that. But I'm not a criminal, so that's why I keep getting the knees cut out from my, because I'm not even going into it. Fuck it. So I'm going to shut this off here shortly because I'm close to where I was going to go. I may stop and get a bite. I don't eat at restaurants as much as I used to because I just can't afford it anymore. When you get a job that pays you a few $100, you can stop and drop, 30, 40, $50 on a nice meal, a steak or some sushi or, but, if you're working hours and hours and making less than $20, you're making less than somebody that's a coffee barista, plus all the expenses, gasoline being the worst. God damn it, I should be paying less than $1 a gallon, and all that money that I'm spending month after month could pay off a couple of these credit cards in no time. But they're dragging their heels. They're lying to us. These fuckers in the White House, man. It's all a big puppet show. This crap about illegals, everybody's in on it. If they were actually grabbing up these people, putting them in camps, that ain't happening. They're sticking them in fucking camps. Those few that they have grabbed, some serious fucking murderers and mass rapists. Like the guy that stupid woman that got herself shot up in Minneapolis by trying to run over a DEA agent or a fucking ICE agent. She got her ass shot. Her stupid cunt girlfriend was encouraging her to go, go, go. Dumb fucking bitch. She'd be in prison. And the other one's dead. The guy that they were protecting, this Guatemalan piece of shit, had been raping a little girl. See, just saying the word rape gets me shadow banned. He had been raping a little girl repeatedly. And they finally went after this guy. And you got these idiots that you tell them that and they just ignore it. They don't hear it. They don't. Oh no, he's a undocumented. He's a refugee. No, he's a piece of shit who stuck his filthy dick inside a little tiny girl over and over and over again until he finally got caught. And then they sent him to us. They pull him out of a prison in fucking shithole South America or wherever, Central America, and they give him to us. So we have to deal with him. Okay, here we go. I can finally pull over. I usually see there's a nice restaurant. I'm not going to say where it is. I may actually go in and get something because I haven't been here in a long time, and they got great food. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off because I've gotta try to get some more money. It's been real.